Welcome everyone. This is going to be very different from the rest of my channel content. This is my first time ever recording myself playing Age of Empires. This is actually a game recording from a little earlier. Just as a little background, I've been playing Age of Empires since I was a little kid, especially Age of Empires 2, Age of Empires 3, Age of Mythology. But this is really the first time I've ever and this is going to sound funny to some people, first time I've ever actually done a ranked multiplayer match. I've done a couple of multiplayer matches in the past, especially Age of Mythology. I was very, very active in the community several years ago, but kind of fell away from it, did a lot more shooters. But as time has gone on, life's got more busy. Really haven't had a lot of time for games, but my love of this game has kind of been rekindled, and after kind of watching other people play, I decided, I'd try my hand at it. So this is my first match ever. I'm going up against a guy named Boutros Ghali, who's clearly a foreigner. I'm just going to go ahead and start it, and right away, so for the first couple of seconds, I was struggling with the controls for the villagers. For some reason, hotkeys, I was doing really poorly here. Now, I already have some villagers queued up. I'm already doing my scouting. I'm definitely not as fast as some of the pros. I've seen them play, and it's actually insane how fast some of these people are, and I really admire it. But over here, he does this thing with his houses. He's building them up against his wall, and I'm not really sure what his intention there was, but you see he's already got his economy going, and nothing much to say here. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I know that the early game is very, very, very critical. I'm just going to watch from my perspective. Let's see. Yes, there we go. Now you can see I'm kind of scouting around. I'm actually manually scouting. I've seen this as a problem with some newer players. They will press the auto scout. And auto scout is very useful for, I think, if you're the type of person that just can't really pay attention to the scout. I definitely will forget that the scout is there at times because I'm more focused on my economy, especially early game. But see this guy, he's already got his mill going up. Now you will see me in about a minute. I believe I started realizing after these guys were done with this tree. Yep, and there it goes. I put up my lumber camp. But I was a little late on it. I know some people, they like to put up their lumber camp right away. That's probably the right thing to do in this situations. Now, I don't think I got housed. There was 2 or 3 points in this game where I got housed, and yeah, see, right here, I didn't get housed here. It was a little bit. Here goes my first villager. I'm going to get his boar. Nothing unusual there. I'm surprised he actually went berries. So one thing that I noticed during this game was that so you can see my villager count going up. I'm slightly faster, just slightly ahead of my opponent. But I was this was my first time ever playing arena. Now, not against bots, but just in multiplayer. I've never played arena in multiplayer. I've always played more open maps, even water maps, and this was not ranked, mind you. This was just like casual games against players or against bots, but I didn't realize that you didn't need to rush in arena. Like, you can take your time a little bit more because you have these walls, so you can really go for that, like, Dark Age boom. I think what he was doing here, or trying to attempt, was he was going for a Dark Age boom. And I really screwed that up. I'm still getting used to the whole concept of just continuing to build villagers the entire game, just non-stop. You can see I'm trying to hunt here. I've seen other pro players, like, watching these videos recently, people will, like, get the deer, like, closer to their mill or their town center. I really haven't even bothered learning how to do that because it looks very micro-intensive. Perhaps later I'll get better about that. You can see he's over here focusing on these deer. Another thing I want to point out, I was using this to scout and kind of forgot about it, my little turkey there. It's just, he's going to sit there for a while. I did notice him eventually, but yeah. It's those little mistakes that can really cost you a lot in the long run. Like, so yeah, right here, I was going feudal age, relatively, I wouldn't say early. I was at 20 villager count. Not bad, not too bad. I'm a little late. I'm definitely not like as fast or on top of things as the pros. Now, this guy though, he doesn't do that. He's going to keep making villagers. He's going to stay in the Dark Age, and this is actually going to cause me a lot of concern. It's going to make me rethink things, because I knew the moment that I age up, and you're going to see it in a second. I'm going to speed up a little bit. So I aged up, and I'm thinking, okay, any moment now he's going to age up. It's 10 minutes into the game. He doesn't do that. He's staying in the Dark Age, and he's continuing to make villagers. Who knows? He does let his pound center stop moving. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So he's going to stay in the Dark Age. He's going to keep making villagers, and this actually causes me some concern, because if you look at our economy unit count, he's starting to get ahead of me, and even though he's missing upgrades, those upgrades are expensive. I immediately make a blacksmith and a market, because I'm at first attempting to kind of like do a Castle Age boom, but I'll admit to everyone that's watching, I've never been able to like make a successful Castle Age boom. I think it really comes down to the build order. Pro players are probably going to look at what I'm doing here, and I'm sure some of them are probably going to laugh at me. I'm going to do more research and figure out how to do it more efficiently, but you can see he's still doing this. I guess he was trying to make a double wall with his houses, which, I don't really see the point in that. But he's got the economy for it looks like. I notice, you'll see it later, but right now he's only got 5 vills on wood. I'm like, at this point in the game, I'm starting to get my eco upgrades. I've already got mine for lumber camp. I don't get my upgrades for like the mines for quite a bit, because they are expensive, at least this early on. And I started really putting more and more villagers on wood this game, but you'll see later. This guy Boutros, he really maxes out on wood. He really, yeah, you can see it already down here. This is where it begins for him. He starts really maxing out on wood, and I'm going to slow down again. He actually, so this is where things kind of change. I've explored the map. Let's switch back to my view. I've explored the map a bit. I see all these relics. I'm ahead in terms of game progression. I don't have as many, I'm not that far behind him. I suppose this is where his economy starts to shift, but he's really going for like this all-out farm boom and all this other stuff. I'm a little more of a balanced economy right now. You can even see I've got 2 on gold, 2 on stone. My plan right now is, I see this gold over here. I know there's other gold here, sure, but I see this gold next to this relic, and I think, okay, I've got some stone. I've got plenty of stone in the bank. So I'm just going to start building a tower. Now, I could have been more aggressive. I probably should have been more aggressive, because I look at this and I look back and I'm thinking, it might have been a mistake, because look over here. He's building a blacksmith. He's starting to, like, prepare. Now, I also have a barracks going up, but I'm not actually going to do anything with it for a while. I've got this tower going up. Yep. And I'm going to start my mining operation there. My plan was to take as much gold as I could from over here, so that later on I could, just kind of eat away at the gold here. Someone called this foolish. I was only going to use these villagers though, because really I was not very committed to this plan. And you can see I'm starting to build Castle Age. This guy, though, he is going to continue booming. He's going to continue making villagers, just outproducing me. He's already got 40. I'll admit, I did forget a bit about my my scout here. He's just kind of sitting outside, not really doing much. At this point in the game, I'll admit, like, I have my big flaws in terms of my gameplay. Realistically speaking, I should be trying to do as much as I can. I'm just focused on my economy. I'm like kind of, taking my time. I know that I have time, but I don't really realize just how ahead that blue is getting at this point in the game, and it'll start to become more apparent later on. You can start to see it. Yeah. So I noticed his scout was sitting outside my gate. I don't think he saw my military production, but I've got some pikemen preparing because I saw his scout and I was like, all right, well, I can maybe quickly snipe him, but he moved, and so I kind of forgot that plan. I go Castle Age. Immediately, I start building another town center, which is the correct thing to do. The downside is that I'm actually quite low on wood. This will not always be a trend in this game, but at least for the Castle Age, it definitely was. I was running out of my wood and my food quite a lot, and especially later in the game, you'll see a lot of that. Now, I did build another tower here. My thinking was that they could cover each other. It turned out it didn't really matter, and you'll see why in a second. So here he's building stables. He's got 2 of them up. He's not building anything with them yet. He's still... Okay, yeah. He goes castle. But you can see how many villagers he's got queued up. I think that's kind of ridiculous. He doesn't actually need to queue up that many. He should not queue up that many just so he can make other things. This is something that a friend of mine pointed out to me in a game against bots, was that I didn't need to queue that many units at once. I just had to be good about switching back to my town center. You can see I'm starting to produce from both. I'm trying to yeah. So I got 7 on gold, still got 2 on stone. I haven't really done much with mining. I'm just kind of putting money in the bank, preparing for later. This is my biggest problem, I'll admit, is that pro players, they have game plans, they have builds that they already have in mind. Unfortunately, I have a bad habit of being reactionary. I'll see what the enemy is building and I'll make what's good at the time. The good news about that is that I am very flexible in my mindset. I will see that they're building something that's dangerous to me, and I'll immediately react. I'll build a bunch of so if I see them make cavalry, I'll build a bunch of barracks and I'll make a lot of pikemen. Or if I see them switch to cavalry archers or something like that, I'll switch to skirmishers. But the problem with that, and it's very clear to me. Let's see, I actually was already sending my monks all around the map trying to grab relics. The problem with that is that you kind of have to commit in this game. You have to make a single type of unit, and you have to kind of stick with it. Now, granted, for my first game of Ranked, I did do this a little more. You'll see that spearmen are going to be very critical to my entire game plan. So you see him, he's already going for a little... Yeah, so I think his mindset here, you can see he's putting scouts next to the relics. He wants those relics. He wants to deny me those relics. He sees that I've got towers there. He sees that they're guarding that relic. Now, the other 2 relics I've already nabbed. I'm still kind of gathering resources. I've got these monks just sitting there. I did realize that eventually, and they're probably going to move out in a second. Lumber camp still... I put out a new lumber camp here. I was trying to spread out my resources a little bit. You see another town center go up. So problem was I was low on wood and I was trying to do a bunch of other stuff. I really should have mostly just focused on a single task, but again, I'm not very good at that. I need to get better about that. So yeah, they know that these guys are here. They know that now. I'm sure he was thinking to himself, how can I counter this? Because I think what he was probably thinking was that I was going to build a base there, and eventually that did turn out to be true, but not quite in the way that he expected. So you can see he's got a lot of guys on wood. I also have quite a few on wood. 61 to 64. He's still ahead of me. Now this is interesting. I hadn't noticed this in the game. So, So he's already got 2 town centers. Oh yes. So this is where I noticed his cavalry force for the first time. I sent a monk to grab that relic, kind of foolishly on its own. I did have plenty of money in the bank, so I wasn't too concerned about the monk going down. It was a bit of a loss. I think that was really... might have been first blood during the game, really, was that monk. Yes, it is, actually. First blood. Okay, so I didn't notice that they were building a town center here as well, earlier in the game. I thought that that was something they built later. So you'll see this first engagement goes okay for me. I didn't realize, though, that he had more on the way. Like, he was still... I retreated because I wanted to reconvene my forces and kind of build up a little bit. I wasn't super confident. I could have probably held. No, probably not. I don't know. Might have. So I start to build stables. I'm thinking, okay, he's got scouts. I can probably make knights and camels. Saracens have really good camels. By the way, these were random civs. I did not choose Saracens, but the Saracen life chose me. Inshallah, the relic will not be mine this day. Yes, so I've got my pikemen up. Oh, and I lost my scout there. It was very sad. Now this is something, okay, this is another thing I'm bad about. I look at the map occasionally, but when I see like a little dot like this, because from my perspective, let's see, my perspective, I did not see this until it was too late. Now granted, there's not really much I could have done about it, because he's got, what, that's 7 villagers on that, and all my troops are over here. I don't really have a big army at this point in the game. I'm starting to like make scorpions, and I know from experience that when you make scorpions, you really have to commit to them for them to be worth it. I do a lot of poor micro in this game, and you're going to see that in a bit. Okay, so I know once I see this happening that this is lost. This is lost. I can't do anything about it. I put the villagers in the tower in the hope that I can save them. Another thing I did wrong here was I was researching technology before making units. Bad habit from my past. Something I do need to work on. The temple, these upgrades at the monastery are not bad. Not a bad idea. I do lose all this. My villagers are all dead. I don't really care at this point in the game because it was just 4 villagers in this isolated camp. I have more. At this point in the game, I've got 3 town centers. I'm not really 100% concerned. My main concern at this point in the game is I need to push. I need to do something aggressive because he's just taking out my forward camp. Didn't do a lot of damage. All I've really done is steal a couple resources from what could potentially be his. There's still this over here that's out in the open, like easily could be stolen. I know that he has availability of this stone here. I didn't know that he had a town center though. So you can see he actually pushes with knights early. He's going to lose all of them though, thanks to these scorpions and just the massive pikes. I don't see knights from him very often the rest of this game. I think that he realizes at this point, and look how much resources he actually has in the bank. He's got a lot, and I actually do too. This is one thing I've noticed. I tend to gather all this resource in the bank and then kind of forget to use it. So you can see, like, I'm definitely, once I do more ranked matches, I'm sure I'm not going to be a very high elo player. I'm probably going to end up low. I see him building another castle. I think, okay, I can probably try to stop this. And you can see I'm doing well against this infantry, or cavalry, rather, sorry. But I miss-micro this. So I was trying to just grab these guys, but I ended up grabbing everything, pulling everyone in, and in the end what it does is it ends up getting everyone killed. It's probably one of my worst mess-ups this entire match. And he's also starting to train Janissaries. He's got the money for it, he's got the eco for it. He trains some Janissaries, starts putting some tech into that, I think. Another thing. He is starting to go Imperial. I'm still in the castle age. I'm still like in this mindset of like, need to get more upgrades. I need to, train more units. You can see me here, like I'm starting to. So okay, I did miss out on this. I wanted to mention it. While that fight was going on, I had realized that things weren't looking very good. So you can see they killed my monks, but I took one of their knights. I realized I had to do something, so what I did was I started building siege workshops, some stables, and I dropped a castle because I knew I had to defend it. I've got my army over here, being slowed down by the rams. Again, my micro needs some work. Really what I should have done was I should have just selected these rams separately and then moved them some other way, so that the rest of the units could speed up and move ahead. Doesn't really matter right now because they're not pushing me yet. You're going to see them push now, though. Yeah, you can see this now, because I think at this point... Let's see if he can see me. Yeah, he can see me. For sure he can see me. At this point in the game, I'm still not going castle. I'm in this fight here. I win the fight, and I'm pushing with rams. This was foolish. So I probably shouldn't have pushed all my units in like this. I really probably shouldn't have. But I see he's got Janissaries and monks, and I think, okay, this is some gold-heavy units that I can slaughter. I can replace these guys. I don't really care. Another miss micro. No. Actually, to my own credit. Yeah, okay, this is where I go Imperial. Yeah, I couldn't see those villagers, so I didn't know. In my defense. I probably should have. Now, yeah, this is where things go kind of tits up over here at this base. He starts pushing. I've got the castle doing some damage, or I'm going Imperial. I've still got a good economy at home, but look at how many villagers he has over me. He's got 108. 58 of them. 58 on wood. He is, like, absolutely outproducing me with wood. I do push him back a bit, but, I got all these rams in queue. I'm thinking, okay, I can try to do a ram push. But he's got these trebuchets now. Okay, this is where I'll be critical of him. And he is actually doing a good job, honestly. Boutros did a really good job this game, but this is where I'll be critical. So here's another absolute failure of me. I should have focused more on his units than trying to just... You're going to see it again. I'm going to try to go all in to defend my castle. This is where I think he messed up. He put too many castles here. He was all focused right here on this little spot. Let's see. 30 minutes of idle TC time. 2.9% idle villager time. Yeah, again, I was mis-microing. I was doing poorly with these battles. I was getting too focused on what was going on here, right? Getting too focused. Now, granted, I see that this battle here is going bad. I see that I've lost the castle, so I send a bunch of villagers over this side. I see that he's building more castles. I see that he's, focusing on this area really hard. So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to try to do a ram push. This is where I think he messed up. He is actually doing a good job, honestly. Boutros did a really good job this game, but this is where I think he messed up. He's probably like, yes, you know, keep throwing yourself at me. Keep throwing yourself against the wall, right? I'm just like, no. You know what? This area is all clear. I'm just going to build over here. That was my thought process with this, and honestly, it paid off. This is the turning point of the game, because I think that, honestly, I think if he had put a castle here, or hell, if he had put a forward castle or pushed me, he could have won this game. I think that he could have won this game, because I really did a very poor job. Like, I was rushing units one by one. There's so many things I can improve here. I'm learning a lot just by watching my recording. So from his perspective, he doesn't see any of this. I'm just barely out of his range of sight. He's thinking, okay, he's desperately trying to hold on to this. I think he got a little too focused on this. He should have, at this point, he probably should have, like, tried pushing forward or something. No, this was a mistake. And I move it back because I realized that he probably could see that. And he does. I see that he has a town center here. I'm, like, thinking to myself, okay, that must be new, because he's got these new farms being built. Oh, and there's the first push of cavalry. He's noticed me. He sees me. Okay, so more mistakes that I make this game, right? Trebuchets. I have these trebuchets, but I have nothing defending them. He's going to take advantage of this. You're going to actually see him push me with everything he has, because he knows that I'm putting pressure on a side that he can't really defend right now. He's got plenty of stone in the bank, and you will see him, like, I won't spoil it, but he does try to, yeah, there it goes. He's going to try to take out my trebs. I think actually at this point he's more focused on my rams, because the rams here are actually quite threatening. They're pushing in on this gate. This was what I wanted. I have these trebs going up. Now, one thing I didn't see until later. Yeah. So he's building all these barracks here. Kind of early, actually. His gate goes down. He's got all these janissaries. Now, I knew, and this is what I was talking about with my reactionary thing. When I saw that he was building a lot of janissaries, where his army is composed of nothing but hussars and janissaries, I started switching a lot to camels. I started switching, I mean, I was already building pikes, but the one thing I started really teching into was skirmishers. I was not teched at all into this. One thing that I did very late in this game was upgrading my techs here, but skirmishers, they do wonderfully against janissaries, and honestly, that was one of the really this choice here to build skirms saved me this game. He does build a castle here because he really doesn't want to, and I actually apologize if I'm not really showing all the action here, but you can see that he's pushing me back with these hussars. I think really it's because it was the cheapest option. But look how much gold he has. He could have pushed me with knights, cavaliers. He could have gotten more powerful units. He just really didn't want to use his gold. And meanwhile, I was spending quite a lot on these trebs. Again, you're going to see, yeah, another treb goes down. At this point, I think I've lost like 4 trebs. I do build a forward castle, because I realize I need more pressure on the front line. I can't just sit back here and keep throwing units at him. I have to put some pressure. He's got all these castles here. He's got one in his base. I need to put more pressure. The other thing I realize is that because he's pushing me so heavily with cav, I have to really dedicate myself to the anti-cav game. So I start to train Mamelukes. You're going to see it from this castle as well soon. I'm going to start training Mamelukes from it. My trebs are kind of focused on both castles. I'm doing a good job of keeping pressure on him, and his economy is keeping up. He's still got 95 villagers. He hasn't lost a lot of villagers or eco. The thing that he really has lost, though, seems to be, in my opinion, map control, and I think he's losing concentration at this point, because he's building these things back here. He doesn't have any Janissaries queued up, though. Granted, he's out of food. It's probably because he keeps training more and more Hussars. Yep, there he goes. He's losing more of his Janissaries. I'm still pressuring him. More Hussars are coming in. They're going to go for my Trebs. At this point, I've also got, by the way, some idle villagers sitting back. But yes, look at this. He's pushing my Trebs. I'm going to lose another Treb. I've lost... This game, I lost so many really important and expensive units. Like, Trebs are not cheap. They are not cheap at all. I made a terrible mistake with this. It was really bad. I can play so much better than this. I know I can. I know I can improve. Just... Also, I wasn't really focus firing that trap. I should have utilized it better. I do have more on the way, though. Now, he does send... So look at this. I had forgotten to build a mine, but he sends around these knights. This is a mistake, though. If he had tried to focus the villagers, or if he had microed this better, he could have actually gotten inside. I pressed the town bell because it's the quickest way to just get them all inside. At this point, I was thinking, okay, he's probably going to like get inside my base, but no, that didn't happen. I had this one camel just sitting there. He starts wailing on that guy. I'm still in their city, still in their base, wrecking all their shit. I start training immediately some pikes to deal with this threat. And I also send a small detachment from the main army, because I know I can afford it. I have a decent-sized army at this point. I've got 57 units, he's got 11. At this point, he's very desperate. Like, he gets inside the city, but there's no villagers to kill. This was his, like, last desperate push. Like, I had pressured him so well. And, he actually, he played pretty well this game. But the one thing that I am critical of is that he had all these resources. Like, granted, I have a lot of resources too, so I can't really talk as much. I have a decent amount of wood and food. I could have really utilized that better.
No.
Yeah, and you can see our little dialogue here. He says, GG lol, I should have pushed harder. Second front won you the game. So he does recognize what he did wrong. At this point, it really is over. This was GG. I had like maybe min window to push, but didn't. Now, yeah. So let's look at things at the end here. I did after this. I did tell him GG. I wished him well. God bless this guy. Honestly, Boutros, if you're in the infinitesimal chance that you're watching this video, good job. This was like new players to ranked. I'm pretty sure he was probably also new to ranked as well, just like me. He did a good job though. The one thing I'd say though is he had a lot of resources just sitting there in the bank. Especially wood. He had an insane amount of wood. I'm not entirely sure what he could have done to like utilize all that wood. Because honestly, he could have used some of those villagers on wood to like maybe bolster his economy in other ways, or maybe like really push in with like aggressive builds like next to my base. That might have really helped him out. On my part, you can see at the end here, I still am not like really I'm so focused on the micro of the battle and like what's going on that I kind of forget about my villagers. This is something that in the late game was bad. Another thing I've noticed was that I kind of neglected a lot of my upgrades. I really did. It took me a while to notice. There was a lot going on, but it took a while to notice that I hadn't upgraded a lot of basic stuff. Like, these walls were not fortified when those knights pushed. I only realized after they pushed that my walls were still kind of on the soft side. You're going to see down here, I had a decent sized army by the end, but he actually, for most of the game, he had a pretty good villager lead on me. He had almost like, I would say 30 villagers more than me, maybe 20, 30. That is one thing I will have to get better about is managing my villagers in the late game when there's a lot going on. It is something that I can definitely improve on. Other than that, there's so much more I could say. I'm sure anyone who's like a pro player of Age of Empires 2 will probably have like a billion more things that they could nitpick about this, and they could really like rip into me over it. Just tips, little things I did wrong. I did grab 3 relics. That is a good thing, and I did manage to nab those, but it was, I don't know. This game was very strange to me. I've never played Arena. I've never been in a situation where it's more profitable to stay in the Dark Age. Usually, the way I've played against bots and when doing co-op with my little brother, or when I was a little kid, I would just try to get to the feudal age quick so I could start making military units. By the time I realized that I didn't need to do that, it was too late. And so when I had switched over to the concept of, okay, I'm just going to sit here and castle boom, it was kind of too late. And this is a real issue of mine. I need to learn to have a plan. I also need to realize that if there's a map like this, like Arena, where I've got a wall, I don't need to age as fast. I can take a little more time to get more villagers before I hit feudal, but anyway. That's it for today. I hope that this video is enjoyable. If anyone wants me to do more strategy game content, I really love strategy games, but I sometimes feel like people don't like watching it because it's just, I don't know. I guess it depends on the person. It really depends on the person. And most of my content up till now has been like, lately on the channel it's been just Hunt Showdown. I've taken a bit of a break from Hunt. I found the game has been pretty stressful, and I don't really have the time for it right now. Strategy games, I spend maybe like 40 minutes a day, and then I'm done. I have a little bit of time here to make a video, but yeah. Thank you for watching the video. I will stop rambling on. Hope you all have a good day, and God bless you all.